here. This hangout on air is live. So I think we're live.
Yay.
Hello.
Hey, bud.
I'm Don't interrupt me, Trina. No.
I'm already sitting over you.
I am the general of Cagesideseats.com. They call me the general. I'm Gino Morosco. Follow us on Twitter at our verified account.
Woo!
At Cageside Seats. We're verified. And this happened just last night. And I think it happened because they knew that we had a special guest on today's episode of Cageside Live. Trina, the Marky Smark. What's up, Trina?
Oh, hey, buddy. What's going on?
What was that? Oh, hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy.
I don't know. I'm like, how do we paint this whole thing? I mean, I think we've been friends for a long time, and this is a long time coming, me being on the show, I think.
Yeah, we've been friends for about a month now.
Yeah, okay. About 2 days.
Yeah. No, so I wanted to bring you on for a couple of reasons. One, we have been friends for quite a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
But you also it's been an interesting journey for you to get into wrestling and podcasting and even in a way, media in a way, as far as that goes. Like you're kind of where you're aimed to go and things like that.
Right.
But I can remember you started following Cageside Seats a long while ago and would interact with us.
Yeah.
Would interact with us, and then we would interact with you. I mean, it's what we're interactive. We try our best to be as interactive as we can. And then you were like you had your own thing going on, and you had a couple hundred followers on Twitter, and it was you're just kind of doing your thing. And then we had some talks. You said you wanted to do some things, and then I encouraged you to do your things, and now you have like 2,200 followers on Twitter. You're like a thing. You have your own podcast. You got your own. You're getting like stuff's happening for you. What's going on?
I mean, look, I always take it back to you. If you listen to any of my early stuff, especially like during the summer a couple months ago,
yes, lavish me with praise.
Yeah. I mean, like AJ Styles said on SmackDown or Raw, we're just going to suck on each other's sugar teeth, so it's fine. I mean, look, so Gino was probably the first person that I respected in wrestling who gave me the nudge to try and start podcasting and get my voice out there, and who told me that I was valid in the wrestling community. Like that was a big deal to me because as a female, as a person of color, all these different things, I didn't know if anybody would even care about what I had to say. And Gino was the first person to be like, no, you're super intelligent, you're really funny, I think your voice would be great. And that was enough that I did my own podcast, and then I started doing other podcasts, and now we have merch, and I have a couple projects lined up, and I'm working with a couple indie organizations. Big Mike Elgin's trying to start his own promotion, and so I might be helping him with that. And so there's just a lot of stuff going on. It took off, but I do credit Gino with a lot of that, because without his blessing, I really would not have done this.
I promise I didn't bring her on just for you to put me over now. Just tell me how great I am. No, I can't. Yeah. It's funny because I can remember like you've grown and developed into like a real like force of like, and your voice has become so strong within the community. Even like I said, like so many people follow you, people within the business, wrestlers, like people like you're in some places even probably more well known than we are. And I mean, we're averaging hundreds of thousands of hits a day. Like we've kind of reached a place of success that I never thought we'd be. And I think because of that, I can remember where you're like, should I even do this? And I'm like, yeah, of course you should. We need so many more voices like yours. Like we have too many voices like mine. Like my voice is like, I'm not putting myself down, but I'm like no different than so many of the other voices that exist out there. It's just I have a slightly different perspective, or you like my website, so you like what I write, so maybe you like listening to me, or Sean and I try to have a fun show that sometimes just goes passionate and off the rails and do whatever we do and act gay together, and it's fun and is what it is. Like we try to do that, and like we're not a big deal, but we wish there could be. That's why we did the Not Your Demo stuff with Aaron and Stella, and Tanya doing the SmackDown review. She's got her own show with Swift that they do on Wednesday nights now. And so when you're like, I want to get in here, how do I get in here? My thing too, I think I even told you, was like, man, there's not enough women in here. There's not enough super powerful female voices that are like really well respected. And it's like too often too, it's like they have to band together to like be heard. And you kind of haven't really done that. It hasn't been like, I've kind of liked that you've been that way, where it's like, it's not a girl power thing. It's just, I'm here. I've got fucking something to say. I'm going to say it, and people are going to respect that. And that's what's happened.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the other sort of stamp of approval that you gave me that I can still remember is as this was starting to build, and I was asking you, it's like, how do I, this is before I branded Last Mark Standing, the Marky Smark, all this different stuff. I didn't know how to approach this. Like I was starting to get popular, but I didn't know how to, become popular, like how to take myself over the edge. And literally, you just said to me, promote yourself. Like, don't worry about it. Just promote yourself, and like, don't think about what people think about you or whatever. And that was like the thing. Gina says promote ourselves, so and now I'm selling all the time. All the time.
You really are too, yeah. Always at the shows with your rags, with you,
yes.
Which is something we don't even do that. Like,
no. Hey, you do something,
Yeah, not as good as Brooke. No, yeah, it's been super cool to see. Like, just even like I said, I remember when you had 300 followers and you'd get kind of down and you'd hit me up and be like, Gino, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's any place for me here. And it's like, I promise you there is. Please stick with it. Like, please don't let anybody convince you, because there's always going to be that. And in fact, that's only going to get worse. And I don't mean that to like, that's not discouraging, certainly. Yeah. But I mean, the bigger you get, the more scrutiny you're going to be under, the more people are going to put you under the microscope, and they're going to want to criticize everything you say, and they're going to want to criticize everything you do. And they're going to try to tell you that you shouldn't say something or you shouldn't do something, but you should do it anyway, and you should say it anyway. Well, because it is valid and it does matter.
Right. Well, okay, let me say one thing. I think you don't give yourself enough credit when you say you're just like everybody else, because one of the reasons why I was drawn to Cadence, again, this is not going to be like an hour of just like us sucking each other's dicks. It's fine. Gino is one of the more real people on wrestling internet. Like he goes on rants and
a little too real.
Yeah, I mean, you just let yourself go and you talk about your personal life, you talk about your past, and it's like, that's what drew me to Cageside, because I felt like you and Sean were just like two real people saying what you thought, and it didn't really matter, what anybody thought. It shows in the fact that you support women the way that you do. I would consider you and Sean to be two of the most feminist male voices in wrestling internet. And I don't know if you would agree with that. But
that's scary. I'm not a feminist.
Go back and listen to any Cageside Live, back this year, last year. Gino and Sean are very, very supportive of females in this industry, and they cover it in a way that is different than everybody else. Like you're very respectful, of what you're saying, and so that's one thing. But you and I personally have never talked about the fact, and I don't think we have, that I don't get hate mail.
Really?
Like what is going on with that?
Never had.
I mean, since I've started this, when I started this, and I know the kind of like whack ass crazy emails you get and stuff in the discussion boards and stuff like that, and so I was prepared for that. Like still to this day, as of Thursday at like noon Central Time, nothing. And everybody's just like, it'll come, and I'm just sitting here. Like, part of me a couple months ago was super anxious about it. Like I was like, it's gonna happen. I felt like I had a target on my back, that it was just gonna suddenly like flood in. Like there was a secret like I hate Trina group, and they were all just conspiring, and it was gonna be like one big explosion of hate mail. But it hasn't. Nothing's happened. No hate mail. The people that I work with, which be prepared for an influx. The people that I work with do get hate mail about me. Specifically,
so they don't send it to you; they send it to your people.
Yes. Yeah.
That's weird.
So Damien specifically, because he's my podcast partner on Last Mark Standing, gets the most hate mail about me. Just people telling him that he's terrible and that I'm going to leave him, that he's not worth like being on the show with me. And some of it gets really personal. I mean, he just gets like a ton of stuff. It's ridiculous.
Because they love you and don't like him?
I have no idea. I mean, this is what I wanted to bring up with you, because I know you've been in this industry, wrestling and MMA for 5-6 years now, and I know you've been dealing with this for a long time. It's just, I know it's tough because it's the male perspective, and I know men are the ones getting the hate mail, and I know females get it too. They get a different kind of hate mail. That's the other thing. Like there's a shocking amount of lack of dick pics in my DMs.
We had we had Megan on. Megan, who is
I love Nutmeg.
Yeah, Megan is the best. Nutmeg's one of my favorite people.
Mm-hmm.
She came on, and she definitely has gotten that kind of stuff.
Right,
She
exactly.
told that story where her name's Nutmeg, and that someone said something like I want a nutmeg on you,
Right,
or something like
a
that.
nut all over your meg.
Yeah, some weird shit like that. So I think I even told you, I was like, be prepared. I'm naturally not. It's hard for me to trust anybody, but I especially don't trust anybody in the pro wrestling community. People are, I've been exposed to too much. I get like weird shit, like not so much anymore. Actually, it's kind of petered off, but death threats and rape stuff, even to me. And so I'm like, well, you're gonna get in, and obviously, you're a woman,
right?
You're pretty, right? Like I don't want to be weird about anything, but I mean, that's what that is. So I'm just, it would make total sense to me that that's what you'd run into. I mean, fuck, you can look at the Instagram comments of any woman who works for WWE, and it gets crazy. So that's what I'm like, the bigger you get, the more followers you get, the more exposure you get, the more you're maybe going to run into those kind of people. But I'm really happy to hear you haven't yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for it, and at this point,
it was like disappointed. No one sent me any fucking dick pics. This is bullshit. My DMs are open, baby.
I don't know. I mean, that's like, I talk about this all the time when I talk to people on podcasts. Is that I don't think I talk about dick pics all the time. Constantly. I work with the Mat Men. Like they get a lot of stuff, and they've been in this business for 7-8 years, and they were telling me that probably when I do start getting hate mail, it's not even going to be stuff that I think about. Like someone's just going to find like one thing, like, oh, like I hate your teeth, and then just go off on that, and so I don't know. Like I'm waiting for it, and I talk about it all the time, and I think it's to the point where whoever that first person is to send me hate mail, I am going to put them on blast. So I don't know if maybe people are afraid. I mean, it can be a little intimidating. So I think maybe that's part of it too. Like nobody wants to be the first, but you have the balls to be the first.
Well, and I would recommend against putting them on blast, because that's the kind of shit I do. It invites more. A lot of times what you do is like there's no more devastating cut down than not taking someone seriously. So people will send us dumb shit, and I mean, like I put for the Tuesday SmackDown that went against the election, I do the then now forever thing, but I changed the forever to something. I don't even know why the hell I still do it, but I put then now anyone but you, Trump. And like someone said something really shitty, and I just retweeted it. Like I put it over, and they're unfollowed and fuck you guys and shit like that. It's like you can combat it by not like that sounds so cliche, but like you can't let it get to you, but just point and laugh at it, because it's pretty funny.
No, I mean, and when I say put it on blast, it's more because this is how I've handled it. If anything negative has come in, because I say I haven't gotten hate mail because I haven't had anybody slipping in my DMs saying like weird shit to me. But I mean, if someone says something weird, I just retweet it. And it's really weird, but I let my followers take care of it. That sounds so like egomaniacal, but I do.
My community's the same. Cageside's the same way. People will attack me, and then I'll have 5-6 people who just like come to my defense, and they're like, I don't think this is what Gino meant. You need to shut up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the greatest testament to what we're doing, and if people are willing to stand up for us, that's fantastic. And I think these people like trolls or whoever need to see that there are more good people out there than there are more of them.
Is it weird to you to have fans?
Yeah, a little bit. Still, I mean, it's.
You're talking to one right now.
Yeah. Well, shut up. I'm totally. I'm a Juno Mark all day, every day. You know that. It's been weird, and it really didn't hit me until I went to New York for SummerSlam. Because people picked me out of the crowd on voice alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was I was outside of Barclays, like being a jackass or something, talking loudly, and somebody in the crowd was like, Trina? And I was like, it was so weird. It was really, really weird. And, I'd walk into some bars by Barclays that were doing events. And like, I swear to God, one of the bars I walked in, I could hear people whispering my name. It was just really, it's been a weird experience. I don't know. It's
How are the shows generally as a woman?
So this is the thing. I know Lady J and a couple people brought this up the other day about what shows do you not feel safe? What's a hostile fire?
And everyone said Ring of Honor.
yes. And I said Ring of Honor too, but only because of the last show. And I think that's only because I've become more popular since I've been to Ring of Honor. Like the very first Ring of Honor that I went to was in April. And I just like blended in with the crowd and it was fine. Second ring, same thing. Second Ring of Honor I went to, but this third one, I got there late and I had a front row seat. And so they like escorted me to the front and like made people move. And it was just such like, became like a big deal. And everybody was already like looking at me like, what the fuck? And I was wearing my like hooker boot, my quote unquote hooker boots. I don't think are hooker boots, by the way. And it was like a thing. And then so from there on, like I just got leered and like stared at, and it was just like a really bad vibe. Like,
but that hasn't been the case at any other shows.
No, literally no other shows. I felt totally fine. And again, like it might just be my personality. I mean, you know that the way that I am. It's like I walk in and it's like so.
Own the room. You own the room when you walk in. People you make people react to you.
Yeah, and so I mean that's the thing. I haven't had a bad experience, and I know that some people pointed out a couple other shows like Hood Slam and things like that, and that only makes me want to go to those shows more and see really what it's like.
You know what? I was told Hood Slam's not bad at all. Like I was told that like someone told me it's about as scary as kittens. Like it sounds like a bad place. Like Hood Slam sounds like a place maybe that things would be, and it's in Oakland. But like actually, no, it's a pretty cool place, and it's kind of interesting that like there's this tendency. I know on our end too. It's like there's a fear of I don't want to say sexism. Sexism is a very real thing. Like even maybe there's some sexism in you don't get the hate mail. They send it to the dude. Mm-hmm. Like I wonder why that is. Like that's an interesting thing to me. And I'm not saying sexism, I'm not crying that stuff, outrage stuff. Don't want to go there with it. But it is interesting to me that that was one of my big fears with you getting into stuff that I expressed to you. Like I just don't want you to get in this and just be run out of it because people are going to show up who are going to tell you to shut the fuck up because you don't have anything to say, because you don't matter. What you say don't matter because you're not a former wrestler. You're not. You didn't start anywhere.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
You just kind of got in.
Yeah, and you knew how emotional I was before I got into this.
You had some bumpy spots. Yeah. Helped weather a few times of crisis.
Right. And I mean but surprisingly it's been fantastic, and I think sadly for any haters that I do have, I just sort of keep getting stronger because of it. I'm more emboldened, and it's like, we had the election last week and everybody had sort of like that mourning period where they don't know what to do. They feel like their country's been taken away from them. And I sort of saw what was going on. I had my mourning period. I had about 12 hours of crying and like, what country am I coming? Because I was out of the country. I was in Vietnam. What am I coming back to?
No shit.
Right. And then I talked to like local Vietnamese people, and I talked to like 60-year-olds and 70-year-old retirees, because I was just like, how am I supposed to process this? I am in my 30s. Like, this is my future. And they all were like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, man up. Not that big of a deal. Just go on. And I was like, oh shit. Like, these people are handling this situation with maturity and grace. And I have a following, and I think I have a chance to show people that there's a way to handle this the right way. And so I made the decision that I was gonna, my online persona and the person that I present myself as was going to be mature about this and going to be an adult. And so I switched everything back to wrestling and dick jokes. So that was me. That was me being mature about how to handle a tough situation was with comedy. And, you know, it's like, you just keep getting stronger as this stuff goes on. I mean, the more fans that I accrue and more I'm on other shows and stuff like that. And every day that goes by that I don't get hate mail, it's like, it's tough. And I'm worried about it. It's making me feel like an egomaniac.
You look so nervous right now. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to get some soon.
I know, because you know me. You know that I'm not like this. Like, you know that I'm not like, I'm the baddest bitch. You know, like, that's the heel Trina persona, but you know me personally, like, I'm just a
it's gonna fuck with you, and I know that. And I've actually worried about that too. Like, somebody is gonna send some truly vicious shit. One of the good things is your email's not available, I don't think. Yeah. Like, my email is public information, right? So like, people, it's on the masthead, and for good reason, but it means that there's easy access to me. So you know, if people can send that, that's a good thing for you that you don't have that. But I'm just, it's probably going to happen, and I'm probably, I don't know if it'll be me, but you'll be going to somebody and like, are they right? Is this? No, I really not. The thing about it too is you get better at dealing with it. Like, somebody got in the comments, and I did the Raw recap this week, and someone said, like, you know, they were calling me out like left and right with all sorts of shit. Said I had an agenda, I was being dishonest, like they called me a liar, and I was pretty sensitive to that kind of stuff. But even then, I read it and I was just like, what's my agenda? Like, what are you talking about? You get way better at just, you know, criticism is valid. A lot of times you want to listen to it because maybe they have something to say that you can improve on, even if they have a really shitty way of saying it. But when it's just the hate stuff, even then, like, it's almost sad to normalize it, but that's what you end up doing. Like, you just normalize that kind of reaction, like, well, whatever. And then you just kind of move forward. So,
but, you know, I don't see it as normalizing. I sort of, especially in light of what's gone on in the last week with the election, I think some people need to open their eyes to the fact that some people don't have the same belief system as them or think certain ways. You know, like, I think the faster that we come to terms with the fact that there are just some people out there who think differently or have shitty beliefs or et cetera, and learn how to live with them, I think that's probably the better way to deal with it.
Well, that's a noble cause. Sean's like depression, his slow descent, and like, you can like listen to early Sean, and he's like so happy and like boisterous, and you can listen to Sean from last week, and it's just him sighing and looking despondent.
And Damien is the same way. You know, like, he's still like really upset about it.
It feels like a defense. It feels like even just within wrestling, like, it feels like we just have to constantly defend our position. Like, this is what I like and why I like it, and this is, like, you have to explain that to other people, because it's not just, cool, good for you, you know, I didn't appreciate it. It's, you know, it's your opinion is dumb, and mine is right, and you need to think like me, and eventually you just get tired of, like, fighting against that. So I'm even, with that kind of, I'm surprised you haven't even run into stuff like that, where it's just like, wow, Trina has bad opinions. Not that you do, I'm just, you know, that's like a typical, that's the most, that's the thing I hear the most often. It's like, Gino's an idiot. I was called the hot take king. I do hot takes.
I was that for a while. Yeah, and that was really weird.
I don't even understand that. I don't. Hot takes are uninformed.
Right, and then I think people thought you were like a little clickbaity for a while. That was really weird.
That's absolutely true. Every single title I've ever written in the history of my time writing titles is clickbaity, because the thing about it, people, is this is my full-time job. So if you don't click, I don't get paid. Like, it's a very, like, I like, when I get done here, I'm going to go eat lunch, and I'm going to eat lunch with money I used that I got because you clicked into that post with that title that you kind of didn't like. Like, and how's it even offensive to you to have the article that went up while we were going on the air was about where Survivor Series is going to be next year. So I'll give you a little behind the scenes stuff. I know that people, easy, good search term, WWE Survivor Series 2017, date, location. Pair those things together, do it in such a way that someone would search for that. Like someone would say, like, when Survivor Series 2017. So they'd go to Google and put Survivor Series 2017 date. When they do that now, I have a much better chance that Cageside Seats Google will grab us as one of the bigger sites that gets the traffic and whatever and being indexed in Google News. It will bring up that post that I just did near the top, and they'll click on it. They'll get all the information they need on it. I did that with the title. The title is WWE Survivor Series 2017 date and location announced or is said or some shit like that. And I did it that way with that exact string for that exact reason. Now, what's your real problem with that? Like, I did that I delivered the information to you. I didn't trick you. I didn't like tell you something and then not give that to you. I didn't convince you to get into the article for some big thing and then give you a small thing. I just, here's what it is. I did it in such a way that it ensures that it'll get hits, but also gives you the information you need. So you get what you need and I get paid. Yeah, I think that works for everybody.
You're just doing your job, you know, and
But it's clickbait for sure, because I need you to click to get to the info.
But I mean, what's clickbait?
It's a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think one thing that I've run into in the way that I've started to build my brand and all this different stuff is that some people are still antiquated in their thinking about the way things work and the way the wrestling business is. And I think some people just need to come to terms with the fact that it's going to be 2016, 17, and this is how the world works. I mean, you're using metrics and whatever, like any sort of.
Exactly. That's the big thing. Not to cut you off, they don't know how it works. Yeah. And they just complain if it's even mildly offensive to their sensibilities, their delicate fucking sensibilities, where it's, I don't like, you're clearly just trying to get me to click it. Like, dude, I've never not tried to get you to click. Do you realize how fucking dumb that sounds, like on the surface even, of just clickbait? Of course it is. I want you to click in.
Right.
What's wrong with that? Like, I understand like the more egregious stuff, and we made fun of that, like the top 10 craziest fishes that have killed humans. You won't believe number 7, and then you get to number 7 and it's Nemo. Like, that would bug the fuck out of anybody, right? We've never done anything like that.
Right.
So
I mean, you guys are always, you have integrity. You're always posting wrestling stuff. You're not posting any stupid stuff. I mean, that's the thing. People just need to realize that there is no such thing as clickbait anymore. Like, people are just doing their jobs. Yeah. And what's interesting that I've run into, because I think we talked about this off air and not on air, but I have gotten more into the indie scene and I've started to promote people. And I've wanted to be a promoter for some of these indie wrestlers, and some of them don't get it. Like, they don't get what I'm trying to do. And some do. The ones that do have, really benefited from it. Big Mike.
Who ran you down?
I mean,
just say it. Do you not want to say it on the air?
No, I will totally say it. Because I mean, I've
you got into an argument with him.
It's Colt Cabana.
Colt Cabana.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's our history is pretty love-hate, because I think the very first interaction I had with Colt Cabana was somebody said that you sounded like him. And then I ran to your defense and was like, there's no fucking way.
Me?
Yeah. I was like, Gino doesn't sound like the biggest douche in the world. That's why he doesn't sound like Colt Cabana. you were having a bad day and you're like, someone said I sounded like Colt Cabana. And so I was like, let me take care of this shit. And I jumped on. And
that's Trina. That's just to put you over here. Trina comes right. Like, if I'm like, man, I don't like that they did this. Trina's like, come on, Pookie, let's burn this motherfucker down. I will burn everyone to the ground, Gino. You just give me the word.
Right. And so that's my first interaction with Colt Cabana. And then I get into the indie scene. I start going to shows. I start seeing him more, talking to him about the trajectory of my career and stuff like that. And it's definitely been a weird relationship. And our last conversation that I had with him was on Friday. I went to a new show in San Francisco, and we pretty much got into a very heated argument in front of a ton of fans. About whether I should pursue being a wrestling internet person or get a job in the business, and the fact that I need to choose. And I was like, I don't think I need to choose.
When he didn't,
it pretty much ended with him saying I was unhelpable and turning away from me.
He does literally both things, so that's confusing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I guess he used one to leverage the other, I guess. So I mean that makes sense. But still, like, it's kind of interesting that he would kind of narrow down the options there.
Right, that you couldn't be both. I think it shows you that a lot of these guys are still really old school in their thinking, and that's why, like, you have some young guys who get that you can use social media and you can use the fans to promote yourself, and you shouldn't put that barrier between yourself and the fans. You know, I think you can do both. I think I can cover wrestling. I think I can go to shows. I think
Didn't you do a promo for some indie?
Yes, I did. It was really horrible. And everybody always wants to see a video of this. It's on my Instagram.
I thought you had a really good. Didn't you have a really good line in there that I was like actually proud of? I
told people I hated their faces, but the problem was that I was not a heel. Like, I got nervous, and I just like my first instinct was to just insult the entire crowd. Like
you got a little nervous. It wasn't going there. Actually, you know what? Fuck all of you. Like, Trina, you're the babyface.
Look, this is Indie Wrestling 101. They changed it on me because I was in talks with, like, one of the wrestlers. He was like, we want you to join our stable and cut a promo for us. We're heels, blah, blah, blah. You're going to cut a heel promo. And that's what I was prepared for. And obviously I do the heel Trina thing. So I'm used to that. Like, this is ready. And I walk in the door and he goes, oh, we turned faces last week. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how do you do a face promo? Like, John Cena can't even do one well.
How do you make him love you? Yeah.
I mean, that's the hardest thing. And so, yeah, I went out there and he was just like, okay, fine, try and do something that's tweener. So I kind of like channeled China a little bit, and like it kind of fell apart. I think most people were distracted by the fact that there was like a woman there and a woman of color, and so I think they didn't listen to most of the stuff I said. But if you go and watch some of the video and you actually listen to the things that I'm saying, it's like, I think some of the wrestlers in the ring even look at me weird because they're like, dude, we're faces. Like, stop insulting the crowd.
What the fuck are you doing?
And plus, the other thing was I got thrown off because some dudes threw money at me.
Threw money at you?
That's not what your mom raised you to do. Like, I was just doing my thing. I was feeling the crowd. I was like strutting, and like some guys like started waving money at me and like telling me, oh, my buddy's got like $500.
Oh, Jesus.
And my friends were like, you should have taken it. I mean, it's just, I was totally thrown off by that.
Just grab it.
I was totally I didn't know. And they were old veterans. They had like Vietnam veteran hats on, and I was like, you can't yell at a veteran even if he's trying to buy you. Like, you can't do that. And so I was thrown off by that, and I got into the ring and I started insulting everybody. And the irony is that fast forward a couple months, because I did that indie debut in April. I'm friends with those old men now.
Nice. A happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just look like, yeah.
It's a happy. Yeah, it's a happy. I mean, they're they're old guys. They apologize profusely now every time they see me, because I think
tried to buy you.
Right. Well, I mean, I think they didn't know. I don't know. I don't know what they thought I was when I debuted as this indie valet. But now they know that I'm podcasting and I'm trying to promote wrestlers and put over organizations and things like that. It's a different tone, and I'm fine letting that go. And like, I'd much rather make friends in this industry than make. And
you've made a lot of friends. Like, you're pretty well known now. Like I said, 2,200 followers. That's a lot. You've grown quite a bit. It's crazy.
It's every month. Yeah,
it's what it is. And that you'll learn is it's the long con where I'm like, I think she's got potential, so we'll help her along. So when she gets to the top, we can infiltrate from the inside.
Right,
so
and which is fine.
Yeah. That's totally cool with me. Let's do that.
It's totally because look, that's not how women are traditionally looked at.
Like we sent you to do the job.
Right, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you spend 10 minutes with me, and I give you my spiel, my little elevator pitch, and you believe in me enough to help promote your brand or you as a wrestler, I take that as a compliment, because there are no other, I don't feel like there are a lot of people like me in this space trying to do what I'm doing. You know,
There are
and
none.
if it's like I'm going to use you, you're going to use me sort of thing, I'm like, hey, look, women haven't been utilized that way, so I'm more than happy to fill that role.
That's also what's going to help you succeed, is just being able to that sounds bad,
Yeah.
but I mean, you're hustling. That's what they do. That's the business you're in. They work
Right,
us,
exactly.
and we work them, and everyone gets worked, and that's what you need to do to get where you need to go. And
Right.
making
I mean,
the connections. You're better at that than we are, because we don't
yeah.
want to make the connections. You talk about do the heel promo to get over his babyface. That's what I've only ever gotten over, because I get on here and I act like a dick sometimes. I just go off and I'm like, fuck you guys, come at me, you fucking marks. And then people are like, Gino's great. This is awesome. Gino's great.
Because you have heel Gino, and you rant, and you're capable of expressing yourself.
I'm not even a heel, because I'm not like playing a character. I'm just like, I can't help. That's a life problem. A little too emotional, a little too prone to like showing up and being like, this is what's going on in my life, and I'm pissy about it. So here's what the fuck I'm going to say on here. Fuck Raw. You know, like I'm a little too, I'm almost 30 years old and I haven't quite figured that stuff out yet, but I use the show to like, or even have you on or whatever, and do it with Sean, or have other people on that we want to have on. It's like, it's our show. We can talk about whatever the fuck we want.
Right.
How great is that? And people listen. And the last show we did, we barely talked about Raw. We talked about a bunch of other stuff, and I was getting stuff off my chest, and felt much better after. And then didn't hear a single bad word about it from anyone. Everyone's like, love the show. So glad you're back. Thought it was great. And it's like, I listened to some of it, and I was like, this is trash. Why do people like this? This was a horrible show. We should not have talked about any of this. Just talk about wrestling.
Yeah, it's like nobody needs to know these things about my life. But I mean, look, that's why I think you're different, and why me and Damien are a little different. Because I took my cues from you when I first started. I was really surprised that you were willing to talk about your past, and like dealing with depression and anxiety, and I talk about that in our podcast as well. And you've cultivated a family, like a legit family, and that's what we've tried to do at Last Mark. And so it's just like, once you start putting yourself out there and people know you, that's what makes it not weird to go out in public and like have people recognize me, because it's like they know so much about me, maybe even more than like some of my family or friends know, because my parents don't listen to the podcast.
Well, and it's you never ever can allow yourself to get, and you could even hear us say it, like it's, Sean is very uncomfortable with the recognition. Sean's very uncomfortable with the idea that like people do listen to us and they're fans of us, or they write about us, or they talk about us, or they think of us as people they look up to, or things like that. Like even somewhat like what you say, it's like it gets to be almost uncomfortable, to where it's like, because we always try to remind everybody, or make sure we make it clear that we're not getting a big head off this stuff. Like it's not, I don't need my ego stroked for these things. Like, again, I didn't bring you on here to put me over. I don't, it feels weird. Like it almost feels weird, like that there's a Gino fan. That's like, dude, I'm just a guy. Like I'm a regular person. I'm going to get off this, take a shit.
You were uncomfortable. You were uncomfortable when I was like, I called myself a Gino Mark early on.
Yeah.
Like, not like that.
Come on. Come on. No, you're not. I'm a horrible human being. I've been shitty for a lot of my life. People don't like me. I'm not the person you should like. I try, but like, well, we all have our stuff. That's what they do. They end up like, people end up being like, because they like you, they're super nice. They're like, well, yeah, it's not that bad. Like, well, okay, you've made mistakes. We all have. Like, they try to help you along. Where it's like, they're not like, yeah, you're a dick, man. Like your really good friends will do, where they're like, yeah, you were being a dick, bro. You need to shut up. Or
I tell you when you're being a dick.
That's
I'll
true.
tell you when you're being a dick.
That's true. That's why I keep you around. Okay, so the next question I want to ask, what kind of wrestling fan are you? And we're going to talk some wrestling. We'll talk Survivor Series here in a minute. But what kind of wrestling fan are you? Are you a moves fan? Are you do you watch the show for the stories, for the characters, for the emotions, or are you even I feel like Sean and I at this point we're a lot more interested in what's happening backstage, behind the scenes, the business of it, the idea of professional wrestling as an art form, the con of it. That shit's interesting. What kind of fan are you?
I'm probably all of those things. I mean, there's a reason why I call myself a mark. I've been a mark since I was 5 years old. And
what's Marky Smark, by the way?
It just rhymed. Like I didn't.
Great business plan.
People were asking me from the very beginning, like, I like to think I'm Marky. Like, I'm not a smart. I don't consider myself a smart fan. Like you and Sean or people in the business, like, you guys know things. Like you know the proper definition.
We know stuff.
Burying people and things like that. And so it's like I'm at the end of the day, I'm a mark. Smarky Mark, just kind of Marky Smark. It rhymed, and then people were like, "No, you're really smart." So I went along with it, and it was like all of this stuff just came to me. Like I never like tried to build that persona any other time than just in the last couple months. Last Mark Standing just came to me. I mean, it just, all these things just kind of like happened organically, and it worked. And I have a lot of friends in the advertising industry, and so I've been trying to do things a little bit differently in terms of marketing my brand and me. And so like it, Marky Smark worked, and Last Mark Standing worked, and that's where we're going. But in terms of like what kind of fan I am, and you like I said, we've known each other for a long time, and you know what kind of fan I can be. But I think the point is, when you grow up with wrestling and you grow up alongside it, you see certain things at certain age levels, and you become okay with it, if that makes any sense. So it's like if you're 5 years old, at 5 years old I was like Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter and Shawn Michaels, Brutus Beefcake, like that. And then around like preteen, 10 or 11, coming to terms with the fact that it was fake, but still liking it anyway. Trying to defend myself as like a kid against like other kids who were bullying me for liking it and telling me it was fake. At the same time, I was super into soap operas. So it's like, there was an easy connection there. And then, when I was in high school, that was Attitude Era and DX. And I mean, that was right when I was puberty and like, becoming like an adult. And so I grew up with wrestling. And so along the way, all these different parts of it appealed to me at different times in my life. And so when I look at it as an art, as a sport, as a drama, as a business. And so all of those things appeal to me. So there's not necessarily one thing or another that I will watch it purely for. I mean, when I go to an indie show and I don't know anything about the wrestlers or the storylines or anything, I just judge it based on whether I'm entertained. As somebody who's been a wrestling fan for 25 years, so I want the wrestling to be good. I want the wrestlers to be selling and like physically and emotionally being invested. I want there to be a bit of a show, like do something, like don't just walk out there and wrestle, cut a little promo. I don't ask for much, like I'm easy to please when it comes to wrestling, because I said this last night on our podcast, I'm never leaving. I've been with wrestling for 25 years, and I've been through the bad stuff. I've been through the amazing stuff, and
it's another thing I like about you is not too insidery.
Yeah, well, I could never be that way. It's, and I am hitting that point now where it's like I'm starting to know people personally that I don't know. I wonder if like, am I still a fan, or am I like on the other side now, or am I somewhere in the middle?
I would hope you don't lose that fan part of it. Well, and I mean just insidery in terms of how you talk about it, because it's really easy to get lost in talking about booking decisions and the business stuff of it instead of just the fan part of it. Like it's almost like everyone has that moment where it's like you find out Santa isn't real, and it's this whole thing as a kid. Like everyone also has that moment with wrestling. Like, and for me, it was finding out the real reason Sting couldn't beat Hogan clean at Starrcade '97 was my finding out Santa's not real. Was like, I'm fucking livid, and I want to know why I was lied to. Like, I want to know the real story here and just dig and get it. And then, it's once you get to that point, it's almost like it's really hard to go back, because you get so in tune to everything that's going on backstage and behind the scenes and with everything that goes into it. And part of the problem is that stuff oftentimes is far more interesting than the shit that they present on screen. But I would hope that it really is a wholly unique perspective, in that, you know, we don't have 95% of the podcast that it's like being real and things like that. That's great. And I feel the same way about you. Like, you did your show the other night and I was listening and chatting in the live chat thing that you guys have. And, you know, you're crying and you're like, you're getting into your stuff. And it's like, you know what, man, I love this kind of shit because it's real. You know, it's not people who are just coming on to get an ego boost, to talk about wrestling, to, you know, to talk because they think they know better than Vince McMahon, or to talk about who's got heat backstage, shit like that. You know, we don't have we really don't have very many podcasts at all that are just enjoying the show for what it is, from the perspective of someone who's like, yeah, this is like a Chikara type of thing, right? So we don't even want to use the word mark, because it's just, that's insulting to the consumer. They're just people who are involved. We have fun with this shit. Wrestling's fun. It's supposed to be. So, and that was the other reason I was always been so encouraging. Like, we need more of that from people like you.
I don't think I could ever look at myself. I could have a job. I can't even imagine myself having a job as a jackass. But like, I can't imagine myself being too insidery or too business. Like, it's really weird to me. I feel like a fan. You know, I feel like a fan who's just like getting inside access, and like, because I'm reaching a point where I know some indie wrestlers now who are getting signed. You know, and I'm good enough friends with them that I'm like, you know, on their Facebooks, and I know what their real names are, but I swear I cannot call them by their real names. Like, I'm going to call you by your ring name. Like, I don't care how long we're friends. I don't care if, like, I'm in your wedding. Like, I'm going to call you by your ring name because I'm a fan, and that's the way it is. Like, it's just too weird to me. You know, like, it's sort of, it's really cute because I love that Sean can't watch Total Divas because it messes up his wrestling life. It's the same thing for me. I know everyone loves Total Divas, but I tried to watch it, and there was too much behind the scenes stuff that I was like, I can't do this. So I stopped watching it, and it's like, because I want to stay a fan, you know, like I want to be in wrestling, and I think it's important to remember that you're a fan when you're covering it, because it can get really serious sometimes, and it can be like really depressing, and, you know, like we've covered topics on our show, like about depression or sexism or racism and things like that. And we talk about that stuff because I want to explore what it means to be an adult wrestling fan. Like, how can I be an adult, logical, reasonable, educated person and still watch something that is almost like from the 50s in terms of the way that they approach race and sex?
You know, there's a very a philosophical, I think, debate that I've sort of raged in my own mind between, you know, knowledge is power, and there's nothing more valuable than information. Versus the cliche that ignorance is bliss. It really is. Like, I am the kind of person, I want as much information as I can have. I want to be as informed as I can be. I don't like not knowing things, and I don't want to be lied to, and I don't want to be on the outside not knowing what's going on. At the same time, I recognize that ignorance is underrated. Like, going into this and not knowing all the bullshit surrounding it, I think probably would have a great effect on your ability to be entertained by it. Like, I mean, even like there was an opportunity I had some time ago to cover the Chicago Bears. I'm a big Chicago Bears fan.
I know,
and have been my whole life. And I did not do it because I thought if I start covering this, I'm gonna end up hating it. Be too much, and I won't be able to just watch it as a fan and just be a fan of it. I think there's something to be said about just looking at wrestling and going, I'm just going to be a fan. I'm going to choose to be a fan. That's why I always say Sean and I argue about the smart, mark, those kind of terms. Like, we're all marks because we're choosing to partake in, we're giving them our money, and they're finding ways to get our money, and we're continuing to give it to them. In that sense, we are marks because they're taken from us. They're conning us out of our cash. You know, whether if you're entertained, it's not a con. I get that kind of stuff, and that's why we shouldn't use those terms. But also, how smart are you really if you're miserable and still giving them your money?
Right, exactly.
That doesn't make you smart. You're smart because you know the terms. Like, okay, that's just kind of it's. So it's a really weird fandom to be a part of, even.
Mm-hmm. It is, especially as adults, and that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why I wanted to explore it because, you know, when we became friends and I became friends with a lot of other people on like wrestling Twitter, I just was really interesting to me because I found all of you guys to be fantastic and intelligent, reasonable people, and I was like, how is it that we're all here still watching this stuff?
Yeah.
And like,
What the fuck are we doing?
what the fuck are we doing? Seriously, you know? And it's like that's the thing. So that's why I started this because I wanted to see why we were still doing this, and if we are still doing this, I wanted us to be proud about being wrestling fans because there's no reason to be like 30 years old and still not tell your coworkers that you're going to WrestleMania because that's super fucking awesome. You're going to WrestleMania and you tell everybody you're going to WrestleMania and you don't hide it. So it's like, it was just weird to me that there were people our age, you're younger than me, that like still hid the fact that they watched wrestling. It's just like a weird thing. So I was like, let's be out and proud and love wrestling and be fans. And
I'm not younger than you.
You are younger than me.
You're what are you 20? What are you 23?
Oh
24?
my God! Stop it. We're not.
Look, you don't look a day over 23.
We're so not going to have this conversation. Yeah. I mean,
it's funny. It is funny because it's like you come into the community and it's like, well, you like, wait a minute. Like you hear this, like there's this idea, the reputation that we're a bunch of fucking mouth breathers, and you know we have the palate of toddlers because we're entertained by these like ridiculous spectacles and
by men in tights, big sweaty men in tights.
And that much people in their underwear, people are in their underwear pretending to fight each other, and we're online like critiquing it and like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Like, are you fucking serious? Like a normal person look at this and go, what are you fucking? Are you stupid? Of course it doesn't make sense. They're acting like, what are you talking about? And it's like you don't know the world, But then you get in it, like you said, and you look around and you're like, wait a minute. Everyone here is fairly intelligent. I mean, some people are full of shit, but you can be both of those things even. It's like, this is almost baffling.
Yeah.
Like, we're not the mouth breathers that, like, the idea exists that we are. Mm-hmm. But then, at the same time, it's kind of, it's almost a contradiction of terms. Like, we're all intelligent, and yet here we are.
Right. Right, exactly. And I wanted to see, like, why was it still in our lives? And I think, Cageside Live and Cageside is a good example of that. It's because we can relate it to our lives, and we find community in being fans, and we see things in wrestling that we can relate to the real world. I mean, I think that takes a smart person to do that. I don't, it is like guys in tights, like wrestling each other or whatever, but to look at the big picture and see the issues that wrestling can, convey, I think that takes an intelligent mind. So I don't think wrestling fans should count themselves short and be like, oh, I just like this thing wrestling.
Are you looking forward to, so let's actually talk a little wrestling.
A little wrestling, yeah.
Survivor Series is Sunday. Are you looking forward to it?
So I was telling Damien last night, because I've been gone the last couple weeks. I haven't caught up on SmackDown or Raw. I watched this week's, and like the stare down between the two brands on Raw got me really excited. Like it felt, I tweeted that it felt like old school, like War Games or like what Survivor Series used to be. But then they sort of like undid all of that storytelling for me on SmackDown, and so I'm a little less excited. It's one of the pinnacle pay-per-views, so obviously I'm going to watch. I'm not necessarily going to catch myself up on all the weeks that I missed. I'm just going to watch it as a wrestling fan, because I'm capable of doing that, and I'll critique it as a wrestling fan and see if it entertains me. I'll probably have like a drink or two and go from there.
I'm gonna get fucking lit and hope that it turns out okay.
It's not good, because the thing is, I like will drink a little, and then I get on Mad Men. They do like an after hours show, and they end up getting me to say like all sorts of like.
You are, and that's the other thing that is, it's so fascinating to me that A, you've avoided hate mail, and B, you've avoided dick pics, because you will say the craziest shit imaginable on Twitter to the public. Yeah. And I'm not saying you're inviting anything. I certainly don't think that. I'm just saying with the way people tend to be, I'm surprised that they haven't felt invited by it, to be like, oh, she's crazy, cool, and then slide up in your shit with something like.
Right. Well, I think what they see is that I'm a little bit crazier than they are. So,
oh, she's nuts.
So if you like you send me something or whatever, like I think people have followed me long enough to know that I'm probably gonna quote unquote.
You'll bust it out there.
I'm gonna send out something crazier. So, that's just the way it goes. So I'm excited for Survivor Series, and
No, you cannot out crazy Trina. Anyway, so Survivor Series should be good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know did you hear what I said on one of the things, like the Mat Men? They got me to answer the question of like which dude on the roster I would have sex with.
Who did you say?
So I came out of like left field. Like to this day, people are like super shocked about my answer. I said Sami Zayn.
Really? He seems like he'd be pretty lame in the sack.
Right, and that was the point.
He'd want to make love to you.
Right, exactly. And I said I would fuck him into oblivion. Yeah.
That's good. That's really good, actually. Yeah, I agree. I think you would, because Sammy, he feels like he'd take you like a picnic, and he'd be soft and gentle, fucking candles and stuff. Yeah. No, Sami Zayn. That's what it really is. You're a dominant, and you just want to. You found the guy that's the most submissive. Like, I think I could fuck his world up. I'm gonna fuck that guy. Like, let
me tell you about this other thing, because
all right, let's talk about it.
Yeah, we're going here. It's super interesting to talk about with you, because we've known each other for so long. But that topic came up because I was in the same bar with Seth Rollins, and I was super, super intimidated.
You were intimidated by him?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know if it was because it was like.
He was so high, he couldn't handle it.
No, not really. I mean, he's fine. Like, I'm not like a Seth Rollins mark or anything, but it was after there was Raw here in Kansas City, and a couple of wrestlers went to a bar, and I found that out, and I've been to that bar a couple times, so I went, just like had a drink or two, and this is how you can tell I'm such a Mark fan, because I just sat at the bar by myself and like looked at my Twitter the whole time. Like, I was too like chicken shit to say anything to anybody. So I just was like in the corner, like watching everybody, and I was too scared. And Seth Rollins walked in, and like the mood sort of just changed. I mean, there weren't a lot of people left in the bar. I was one of the few women left in the bar. There were like some waitresses or female bartenders, but and he like walked right up to me. He's like, "Hey," and I was like, I don't know. Like I just got like really freaked out.
This happened?
What I told Damien was that like there was a feeling of a power shift, because like when I go to an indie show or whatever, I mean, like I said, when I walk into the room, it's like I don't feel like I'm in danger or vulnerable or whatever. But when he walked into the room, I don't know if it's because I know too much about his personal life, and he's back
because you've seen his dick.
Yeah, I've seen his dick and like things like that. I mean, it's just like I felt like he was like targeting me, and this is not. I'm not saying that Seth Rollins is like a sexual predator. It's just like,
no, you're an adult. He's an adult. Like, there's nothing wrong if he's approaching you and like wants to, even if he hit on you. There's nothing wrong. Like, it would be wrong if you were like, "Please go away," and he didn't. Yeah. Like, but there's nothing wrong with him like approaching you. That doesn't make him a sexual predator. Yeah.
He was totally nice. He said hi. I said hi back, and I was like scared shitless, so I didn't even continue the conversation. But
wow,
it was such a weird dynamic for me. I mean, because you know me, like to
do you think he was interested?
Maybe, I don't know. I was. I mean, I had a wrestling shirt on. Like, I was not. There were a couple other girls. Like there were who was there? Austin. I'm blanking, from New Day. He was there.
Xavier Woods.
Yeah, Xavier Woods was there with like a girl. Like, there were a couple people with like clear like groupie type girls. I feel really horrible about saying that. I'm sorry, like all my feminist followers and stuff, but there were groupie type girls, and I'm like in a fucking New Day shirt and like khaki shorts or something. Like, I'm not dressed to like pick up Seth Rollins. And so it was just a weird. It was just a power shift, and it's interesting because like it made me very aware of the fact that like it doesn't matter if I'm in my 30s or whatever I've accomplished in my life. I'm always a wrestling fan. I'm always a mark, and it's like Seth Rollins walked into the room. There were other things at play, obviously, like the man-female dynamic, but I think part of it was the fact that he's a WWE wrestler, former champion, and I'm a Mark, and I'm like, holy shit, it's Seth Rollins.
That's an interesting question to bring up because like you wouldn't think of that with men, but like with women, that sounds bad. But like, do you think of that? Like, the more you go into things, the further along you get. You know, you're gonna go to these promotions, or maybe you're gonna work for a promotion. Maybe one day, fuck, you'll work for WWE.
Yeah.
Like, do you think about like maybe someone will want to take you out? Maybe someone will want to be with you. Maybe someone will. Seth Rollins will walk in and be like, "What up, Trina? Like, go to hotel-y?" Or do you think that like is that a thing? Like, do you have like a rule that you've set for yourself where you're like, I'm not fucking around with any wrestlers?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not really. And the thing is, like, the way that I've tried to carry myself through this whole situation, and how I've chosen my friends and who my allies are, is very, very right off the bat, they have to treat me with respect. And so, like, I don't consider myself to be friends. Like, anybody that I put over on, like, social media, or you see me, like, take pictures with at a show, like, these are people that have been respectful to me from the second that I interacted with them. And so it's like, you know, if people have been sleazy to me in the beginning, like, if they're trying to hit on me right off the bat, I just don't take that sort of thing. You know, like, I just don't want to interact with that person. And it's been working, you know, like, I've gotten allies in this business who are fantastic people who treat women, you know, great. And I feel like if I just keep sticking to that sort of rule, that I'll get enough allies out there that will sort of protect me. It's weird, you know, like to say that, but you know, like that's how I approach it. You know, it's like real life. Like if you were in a job or a workplace and like sleazy dude keeps trying to hit on you, like, you're not going to go and be friends with him. Like, it doesn't matter if you want a promotion or whatever. Like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
You know, like, everybody that I associate with, I can vouch for as like a perfect gentleman, as somebody who respects women. None of these guys have ever tried to cross the line with me or said anything like, you know, as much as I joke about dicks and stuff like that, you know, like all these guys are all like upstanding guys. I just try not to associate myself with people like that.
It's interesting too, because like, again, there wouldn't be, at least, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think there'd be anything wrong with if someone tried to hit on you.
Yeah, no, there isn't anything wrong. And there's different ways. No, it's totally not wrong. And there are ways of being respectful about it. You know what I mean? And because that's the thing, I talked about this on our podcast before, because I had like a little breakdown because I was like, I'm not being taken seriously. And people were like, it's because you're a pretty girl. You know, I'm trying to tell people about our podcast and like give out our like hats and our tissue packets and stuff like that. And I just felt like people weren't listening. Like, I'd walk up to them and all they just saw was like, there's a pretty face, like at a wrestling show. So there are ways of being respectful about it. You know, it's like, I think sometimes maybe there are fans or wrestlers or whatever, they feel like when they're in that environment, when they're in a wrestling show, it's like, this is a hyper masculine place and like blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that there are people out there who are totally normal and will like approach you like a normal person. And even if the first thing you say to me is kind of like you hitting on me, if you do it in a respectful way and like whatever, you know, like I don't feel unsafe, then I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I mean, like, maybe that's how I'm different compared to some people, because I know there are a lot of people online who right away give people the benefit of the doubt. Because that's the other thing, when I started this, I was like, I wanted to prove that not all wrestling fans were just like losers living in their mom's basement. I knew a lot of men who were super intelligent, not creepy, like, you know, and I've defended guys. I've written pieces about in defense of men, like the male wrestling fan.
It really is cool too that you've gotten to this place where no one's like, people aren't actively hitting on you and trying to be creepy or weird towards you at all. Like, it's kind of I wouldn't say proud's the right word, but there's almost like a certain, like, that's really awesome to hear, even just that people haven't been creepy and people haven't been like, you've just found a lot of support and you've just found a lot of people who are like, you know, they want to be friends or they want to be associated with you and what you're trying to do, and have just or like in my case, just encouraged you every step of the way and just been like, hey, like, there's something here, like, you should go do this, it would be awesome, like, hope for the best for that and can support that any way I can. Like, that's, I don't know, it's actually really cool to hear that it hasn't been the awful that it could have been, like the awful that we all assume things will be now that Trump's president.
Right. Well, and that's a lot of the time that's the first question. People are like, "What's the creepiest DM that you ever gotten?" And I'm like, "I don't." And I think that's sort of the way that we have to carry ourselves now that we have the president that we have. Is that if I walk into a situation that on the outside could be viewed as dangerous for me, if I walked into Hood Slam or whatever, any of these shows where it's 99.9% men who maybe don't have the best rapport with women and things like that, and I walk into it thinking it's a dangerous situation already, that's just going to set the tone right away. It's a bad vibe for me. And so I think we just give each other the benefit of the doubt and say, like, look, we're all just wrestling fans, and I'm going to walk in here and we're going to have fun. And that's the vibe that I give off. I think it helps people understand like where I'm coming from, and then they know how to react in kind. And, it just goes from there. It's like, I don't try walking in like a wilting flower. I walk in like I belong there, and it doesn't matter that I'm a woman of color or that I'm a woman. I belong there as much as you, and I know as much as you do, if not more, about wrestling. And like, let's do this.
I love that shit. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But okay, so we barely talked any wrestling, but we talked a lot about you and where you're going and where are you going actually before we get out of here, because we do got to get out of here in a minute. What's the plan? I know Colt Cabana thinks you're unhelpable.
Yes.
Fucking Colt Cabana and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple things in the pipeline I can't announce, but I'm going to be producing and editing and co-hosting a couple podcasts here with some famous people that you guys know. So hopefully once we get that test show off the ground, I'll be able to announce that. So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I'm working with them, and we did talk about the fact that I work with a lot of indie organizations, and Big Mike Elgin is trying to do his own promotion, and I'm going to try and help him with that as much as I can. And so I'm trying to do whatever I can to put wrestling over, to put wrestlers over. So whatever that job is, I firmly believe that someone's going to create that job for me, or I'll create it myself. So it's whatever.
That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. And personally, it's it's uncomfy and stuff, but I really do appreciate how because you do your Periscope sometimes that I watch, and I'm busy with all my stuff, so I don't get to watch everything you do, but you've put us over a whole bunch, and you've put me over a lot, and I wasn't being supportive ever at any point so that you would do that. It was always because I believed in what you're doing, and it's kind of cool to see that like you're going where you're going, and you've gotten as far as you've already gotten, and it's the sky's the fucking limit, and you're just going to keep doing it and keep building more connections, and it's kind of cool. Like that's my little pup, my little pup's done grown up, yeah, done grown up, and she's a big old beast, and she's just running wild, like doing the thing. So it's really cool to see that. Yeah, you're like yelling at Colt Cabana, like, I'll be a success. Gino told me. Yeah. Fuck you, Colt. So no, but I just want to say thank you so much for putting us over as much as you do. It's like, it's really sweet, and we really appreciate it. And yeah, all we did were, I'm going to downplay it now, but all I've ever done or we've ever done is be supportive. You did all the work, you did all the stuff, everything that you've done has been, you've earned your own success. We just tried to be encouraging. So that's all. And we do appreciate all the nice things you've said. Is there any plugs you want to get in or anything else you want to say before we get out?
Just lastmarkstanding.com. That's our website. Lastmarkstanding.com, where you can find our library of podcasts and our merch and all the news going on with me and my podcast partner, Damien Saltucci. He's at Dare to be Damien on Twitter. That's where everything is. So lastmarkstanding.com. We're going to have more merch coming out. Like I said, there's some stuff. Damien's working on stuff. We have stuff in the pipeline. So that's your one-stop shop.
Stop sending him hate mail.
I know, right?
Send it to Trina. Send it to Trina. She's at the Marky Smark. I believe in you, Cagesiders. Did you just tell them to send you? Please don't do that. Here's what I'm going to say. Cagesiders, one of you fuckers will send her some hate mail. Don't any of you fuckers send her a dick pic. Do not do that.
Oh.
Don't send anybody dick pics. Dick pics are bad. Don't send dick pics in 2016 or 2017 or any time ever. Don't do it. All right. It's been fun. We love you.
Thanks, Gino.